Welcome to the Juice Box with Juice Springsteen, covering the week that was in professional wrestling. And hello everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Juice Box. I am Juice Springsteen, here to recap the week that was WrestleMania. Wow, a lot to discuss and recap. We also have a new AEW World Champion. A lot going on in the world of professional wrestling this past week. So that's why this episode's a little late, but it is during the week. We're, making sure we're getting the new content out there. Also, we'll talk about a lot of other little nuances throughout what happened this past week. There's also, some releases, unfortunate, as well. The cuts that normally happen, throughout the year, but generally right after WrestleMania, which is pretty crazy, especially after being touted as one of the biggest, highest grossing WrestleManias ever. So we'll touch on that as well. But follow me on Twitter at JuicySteen, at Juicy Wrestling Closet on Instagram, at JuicySteen on YouTube. Listen to the show on Spotify, Amazon Music, Apple Podcasts, JuicySteen.podbean.com. If you listen to the Juice Box on Spotify or on Apple Podcasts via iTunes, leave a rating and review. It helps the show flourish, I will say, instead of grow. Shout out to the Main Event Maniacs guys for their episode last week. WrestleMania 2, Hogan, Bundy. It's 40 years ago that match took place, kind of the start of the Hogan formula with big guys or big main event matches for Hogan in the singles realm. Brian and Jay, I thought, did a great job of describing the sights of that match, the intricacies of the world of pro wrestling around it, the card of WrestleMania 2, the three cities, all of that good stuff. I think Brian and Jay are in their bag when the pro wrestling topics revolve around the middle to late 80s, early 90s. I think that's right in their wheelhouse. So I appreciate the Main Event Maniacs guys for putting out that episode for everybody during WrestleMania week. Really enjoyed that as well. Yeah, we're going to talk pretty much all about the WrestleMania recap of it all. Like I said, new AEW World Champion, Darby Allin. He defeated MJF on Dynamite a couple of weeks ago, leading into WrestleMania. And with that, it was a huge shot in the arm for AEW. And a lot of, all the eyes of the wrestling world are kind of glued to whatever happens during WrestleMania week, regardless of company. So why not pull the trigger on Darby Allin winning the championship? I thought it was an interesting idea to do such, on purpose in that realm for that reason. And I enjoyed how they did it as well. Some are concerned, it was a squash and MJF looks weak. No. He had a brutal match with Hangman. He is going through a lot as champion. I mean, he was just in a 39-minute match with Kenny Omega at Dynasty after that Texas death with Hangman. So, Darby Allin kind of caught him off guard. That's what you want as a challenger leading into a title match. And I felt that was the right call. Then Darby had a 5-star match with Ciampa on Dynamite this past week, which was incredible, all over the place. And it did get 5 stars from Dave Meltzer. Probably one of the better Darby Allin matches in AEW, quite frankly. Ciampa got color. He was bloodied. Was it from a dive? I can't recall, but it was a gnarly wound on Tommaso's head. But it was one hell of a match. I really do like Darby as champion. There's so many options. I think he's defending it against Brody King next. I like him as a fighting champion. It's exciting. And Darby having that reckless style, he'll lose it again. At some point, he'll lose the championship and it'll go to someone else once again. But that's how, you got to do it. If Darby's character dictates chaos and being around a lot and trying to defend your championship as much as possible, you're going to, step into a match where, oh boy, someone was a little bit too prepared for Darby, and that could be the end of Darby's reign. So we'll see where it ends. I think MJF has another shot maybe towards Double or Nothing. I'm not real sure what's going to happen at that show for the world title, but as of now, 2 matches are signed for Double or Nothing. Okada Takeshita for the International Championship, a match that's been brewing for quite a long time. And we also have a street fight for the AEW World Tag Titles, FTR versus Cope and Cage. If Cope and Cage lose the match, they will retire. Kind of a big deal, kind of a big stip. And I think that it's, all intents and purposes are, we're going to get Cope and Cage as new tag champs. We push through. Maybe we get a ladder match at All In Wembley between those two teams, FTR, Cope and Cage, and the Young Bucks. Please sign me up for that. I do want to shout out Pros of Wrestling, the local Pittsburgh independent wrestling promotion run by the father of Corey Graves and Sam Adonis. They ran their Bruno Forever show, their sequel, Bruno Forever 2, as of this recording last night. Really fun show. Bill Apter, Johnny Rods, Missy Hyatt, Ken Patera, Corey Graves. A lot of fun. A lot of, the throwback vibe to your old school studio wrestling while celebrating the current independent scene. They crowned a new Bruno Sammartino Heritage Champion. And it was a pretty, entertaining night of pro wrestling action. It was nice to see those legends out there. I mean, Johnny Rods, I believe, is in his 80s, and he still looks like he could throw a mean hip toss. And I believe he's still training folks. And Ken Patera, a legend in his own right, the second ever Intercontinental Champion. The First Lady of Professional Wrestling, Missy Hyatt, of course. It was nice to see Corey Graves at this show. He was scheduled to be at the first Bruno Forever show, but due to international conflicts with his WWE schedule, he could not be in attendance, but he did make good on that and was here for the show last night. So shout out to Corey Graves. And of course, Sam Adonis. He is local, but he's always in Dallas. He's always in Mexico doing his thing as a Rudo. And, big babyface energy in Pittsburgh. And it's always nice to see Sam, whether it's, doing his craziest heel gimmicks in Mexico or in Pittsburgh as the perennial babyface with Ace Montana, who I also really enjoy his work as kind of a pseudo Dusty Rhodes character. But it's always nice to see those guys hang out, shoot the breeze with them during the intermissions or what have you. It was a really strong show, and I'm hopeful that they can pull off a Bruno Forever 3. We'll see how that goes, but as I always say, if there's pro wrestling around you, no matter what company it is, support it, and always support independent pro wrestling. Let's get into it. Let's get into the pro of pro wrestling, the granddaddy of them all, WrestleMania 42. This was, hyped. It had a lot of flaws going into it. It had a lot of intrigue going into it. And it delivered more so on night 2 than on night 1, I would wager. But I was pretty sports entertained throughout both nights. Outside of the ads are brutal. It's just a problem that TKO and WWE are dealing with right now. And by problem, I mean it's just the fans dealing with it. The ads are just enveloping these shows 4 minutes at a time, making the time in between matches extraordinarily long, cutting match times to very short. On night one, there were 4 matches underneath 10 minutes. The other 3 were 14, 17, and 22. And on night 2, there were 3 matches underneath 10.5 minutes, with the other 2 matches being 15 minutes and 34 minutes, respectively, on night 2. But I really enjoyed both nights. The pageantry, the last North American or domestic WrestleMania until at least 2028. We'll see where the following WrestleMania 44, where 44 will take place. 43, as you all know, taking place in Saudi Arabia for the first time ever in WrestleMania's history. It will be taking place outside of North America, and it has been announced that Night of Champions is taking place in Saudi Arabia in June. Regardless of what is going on in the world right now, they are still pushing forward that Night of Champions show, so hopefully everything goes smooth over there with those guys and gals as they make their trip for Night of Champions. Who knows where the title scenes will be by then. But let's get into this Mania card. I do want to touch on it. There was quite a lot of intrigue. We saw so many celebrities, of course, there. Stephen A. Smith was in the building. They, Drew McIntyre got to do his little bit in was it the first match or was it the second match of the night? I believe it was the second match, in the unsanctioned match with Jacob Fatu. He did the bored at work thing again, which was really cool. But let's start with the first match. The Vision and IShowSpeed take the L to the Usos and LA Knight, but we did get IShowSpeed hitting a massive splash from the top rope to the floor through the announce table on Logan Paul. As I said leading into it, IShowSpeed's got so much athleticism, and he's really, really charismatic. He's a great reluctant heel, and damn, his athleticism showed in spades as he hit that incredible move to Logan Paul after the match, after they lost their match to the Usos and LA Knight. Jacob Fatu got a huge win over Drew McIntyre in that unsanctioned match, as I stated earlier. And then on Raw, Jacob Fatu pledged to challenge Roman Reigns, spoilers, who is now the current World Heavyweight Champion. So I think we will be seeing that match at Backlash. Every time I say at Backlash, I think of that video hyping up Backlash 06. Backlash! But right now, looks like Roman versus Jacob Fatu at Backlash for that title. We had the Fatal 4-Way tag match for the women's tag titles. Nikki Bella could not compete, so who stepped in? The returning Paige and Brie Bella win the WWE Women's Tag Team Championships versus, over Bayley, Lyra Valkyria, Alexa and Charlotte Flair, and Nia Jackson Lash Legend, who came out in incredible demolition-inspired gear for, a old school pro wrestling fan like me. I absolutely loved that gear. And it was awesome to see Demolition get inducted into the Hall of Fame as well. That was a nice ceremony. Becky Lynch, AJ Lee. Man, this was a short match. Becky gets the win. New Intercontinental Champion. And it looks like, maybe Sol Ruca is going to get involved here down the line. There's just a lot of new moving pieces as we progress into post-Mania. Ethan Page also showed up for Raw, and just a lot of intrigue going in and out of these shows for who's next, quote unquote, in the WWE scene. Gunther defeats Seth Rollins by submission. Braun Breaker returns. We get a hell of a pro wrestling match between Gunther and Seth Rollins. Even though it should have been Gunther and Rey Mysterio or Seth and Braun or both, we did get Gunther and Seth, and these two just had one hell of a wrestling match. Anytime you get two guys who are in there, but there's really no story, and you just tell them, hey, let's just see what you got out there. Cook, if you will, as the kids say. And they did. They absolutely did. And they did a wonderful job. Gunther gets the win. We'll see where this takes Gunther going forward. We got a lot of hype around Obafemi, but Gunther needs to stay hot as well, as he retired John Cena, who I bring up as the host of WrestleMania. 50,816 folks in attendance for night one. However, Bianca Belair showed up, and she revealed that she is pregnant, and Montez Ford brought up 6 months pregnant. So they added one more to the attendance, 50,817. We got to the women's world title match. Stephanie Vaquer, Liv Morgan. This match was 6 minutes and 51 seconds. I mean, Roman Reigns' entrance on night 2 and Punk's entrance on night 2 were longer than that. But Liv gets the win, wins the world title. Like I said, we had Sol Ruca coming in. We've got some other new challengers, I think, coming into play for the women's world title going forward. So a lot of intrigue there. But yeah, this match was kind of disappointing in the fact that it was only, barely 7 minutes. And yes, I misspoke with Sol Ruca and the Becky Lynch thing. It was Sol Ruca and Liv Morgan as they were going, progressing that on Monday night. And then we get Cody Rhodes and Randy Orton. Jelly Roll gets kind of taken out. Pat McAfee gets all these guys kind of get eliminated early. Jelly Roll hits an elbow on Pat McAfee through the announce table, and they're kind of done and out of there. And Pat seems to be actually done with WWE for the time being. We'll see what happens. But Cody's entrance was cool. Randy Orton's entrance was cool. And I enjoyed the match. I just really thought that it never needed the celebrity involvement, and I was right, I think. But, this is how I kind of phrased it on Twitter because of how confusing it came off. This is how I felt. Orton was the heel, but the fans were cheering him. He aligned with Pat McAfee, who the fans hate. Orton faced Cody, who the fans like. During the match, though, Orton turned on Pat, which the fans cheered, but it cost him the match. Orton then punted Cody, which the fans loved. So, Orton hits a punt on Cody after the match. Not a broken orbital bone, but he looks brutal. Cody's eye was just swollen shut, black and blue and bruised, and not good. But, I mean, man, good match. Cody retaining was kind of bizarre, and it might set up Cody and Punk at Backlash. I really don't know what's going to happen. We're only a week out of WrestleMania, so who knows where things may fall into place. So night 2 was pretty much set up to be successful and more successful than night 1. I put this on Twitter as well. I felt WrestleMania night 1 felt soulless, very corporate, and I quoted it as saying lackluster. 7 matches, only 83 minutes of airtime, though. And with the celebrity involvement and viral moments and the record-setting gate, it just seemed, the focus was not on WrestleMania. It was on the optics of WrestleMania and some other factors that just weren't necessary into making WrestleMania a success, considering it has been a brand name of success, I'd say, for over 30 years now. But, night 1 was what it was. And I thought there were some highlights. Like I said, Gunther and Seth Rollins was damn good. I'd say the best match of the weekend, but we blow into night 2, And night 2, we got some crazy stuff, including this. We start off with Obafemi, Brock Lesnar, 4 minutes, 46 seconds. And it was perfect. It was a sprint. It was a hoss fight. Obafemi gets the win with the pin on Brock Lesnar, center of the ring. Brock takes his gloves off, his boots off, lays them in the ring. Seems like he's retiring, but with Minneapolis hosting SummerSlam and Brock being a Minnesota guy and Gunther, potentially cashing in a favor to Paul Heyman because he took out Seth Rollins at WrestleMania, I think we could see one more match at SummerSlam, Brock Lesnar as the babyface, because he definitely got cheered doing that I could be retiring thing against Gunther, who would be the uber heel in that scenario, if that were to be the case at SummerSlam in Minneapolis. That's what I kind of hope for. It would be cool. I just don't want to... I'd hate for Lesnar to be done like that. I mean, it would be cool, I guess. It's just him going out on his back, putting over the next big thing would be awesome, but I don't know. I'd like to see him get a pronounced final match against Gunther and it just have the gravitas of a true final match, but we'll see. What we did see after that was the Intercontinental Championship 6-pack ladder match. Penta retains against Javon Evans, Dragon Lee, JD McDonough, Rusev, and Rey Mysterio. Hell of a match. Javon Evans looks like a star. Penta is still a huge star and retains the title in a brutal, chaotic, high-flying car wreck of a match. So that was the end of the ESPN portions. We move into the regulars, the PLE kind of portion of it where you had to pay. Premium live event. And we had the new United States Champion crowned, Trick Willie, with Lil Yachty, who did make note to say that he was here to stay. And I do like Lil Yachty as like a manager / mouthpiece for Trick Williams. I think they go well together. Lil Yachty, along with Speed, don't seem to be, over the top with their performances. They are celebrities being inserted into these programs, but they are just doing things the real way. Lil Yachty's taking haluva kicks. Speed's getting his ass beat and making huge moves and doing crazy spots. They're not just there for one spot like a Jelly Roll or a Pat McAfee. There's some substance to them, and I like it, and I'm hopeful that the Lil Yachty Trick Williams thing kind of continues going forward. Trick Williams, new U.S. champion. I thought it was incredible. His entrance had all the aura, and the fans are behind him 1,000%. So congratulations to him. We had Finn Balor defeating Dom Mysterio in a street fight. The Demon, Finn Balor, never really loses on PLEs, but he had in the past, but not this time around. And who knows what's going to happen going forward with either of these guys, whether there's a championship for Finn in the future or not. But the coup de grace through the table was the end of that match. We had Rhea Ripley winning the Women's Championship, WWE Women's title, against Jade Cargill. 10 minutes, 8 seconds, pretty clean-cut match here. Rhea looked great. Jade looked great. The match was what it needed to be. And I was pretty impressed by both of them. And it was just a solid match. And I'm happy that, this match got to take place. I've wanted to see Bianca and Jade or Bianca and Rhea. And we haven't gotten to see it, but we got to see Jade and Rhea. So we're on our way, We'll see what happens next year in Saudi Arabia with any of those three women. Bianca will be a mother by then. Maybe she'll be back in the ring by then. Who knows? But I enjoyed it. And then, I would be remiss if I didn't bring up the Danhausen John Cena segment with the little people involved. It was what it was. It got a laugh out of the crowd at home. I was around some people, and we all enjoyed it. And it seemed to be over with the audience, and Danhausen was in the top 3 of merch movers at WrestleMania, doing exactly what I thought, just not needing to lean on the in-ring. I mean, he can be in the ring and have matches every now and again, but he does not need to do that to be over, to sell merch, to be funny and be entertaining. It's just not his bag, and I think he's kind of finding that groove within WWE. And more power to WWE for kind of acknowledging that he has that, but never really trying to do something he's not. Even in the match that he had, there was a funny little magic thing going on in there, a curse, if you will. So plenty of things, are going in the Danhausen way in regards to the partnership with WWE thus far. And then we get to the main event. It got 5 stars from Dave Meltzer. It got 5 juice boxes from yours truly. At this point, it is my WWE match of the year. I would like to do a, kind of impromptu award show towards the end of the year. And I'm kind of keeping track of the following awards, where we've got Best Male Wrestler, Female Wrestler, Best WWE Match, Best AEW Match, Best WWE PLE, Best AEW Pay-Per-View, Best Overall Pay-Per-View, and Best Moment. So, there'd be 8 awards. I think that's a very digestible way of doing things. I don't want to bore people. Everybody has awards. But if we look at things objectively at this stage, man, Roman and Punk absolutely have match of the year for WWE, if not all of pro wrestling thus far. CM Punk's entrance was incredible. The AFI intro, followed by some silence, then led into Cult of Personality. Roman Reigns with the piano, and just cinematic for both those guys. And it's so incredible when, you get Orton and Cody, and they could have a great match on their own, and they have a 20-year story that they could have dealt with and played up to and played into. And yet they kind of put that on the back burner, even though they did acknowledge it, and kind of led with the Jelly Roll, Pat McAfee integration. And it kind of made everything flat and convoluted and uninteresting. Yet Roman Reigns and CM Punk was Punk's world champ. Roman won the Rumble. Roman says, I don't like you, and as a matter of fact, I hate you, CM Punk. And CM Punk clapped back with some harsh truths about the family that Roman Reigns is a part of, and that was it. It was a one-on-one match. There was no extra stuff, no interference. As one-on-one, tried and true WrestleMania main event as there could have been. And we saw blood. We saw epic kickouts. We saw very close calls. We saw some fun in-ring interactions between the two as the match is happening, and just how these two play off each other. I know fans will look at Punk and Roman and kind of say that they're polar opposites. And even though some of that could be true, when they are in the ring together, they make such great poetry in there, and they just did everything right, and they know how to play off of each other. They have been around the business for a while. They know what's next, how to make the next move better than the previous. And it concluded with that Punk tried to do too much and couldn't quite do it. And Roman Reigns wins the World Heavyweight title for the first time, and we're off to the races. Roman has Jacob Fatu probably at Backlash. CM Punk said, hey, Cody Rhodes, you never know when a world title opportunity will fall right out of the sky. And I think that is setting up a future match between Punk and Cody. But for now, I think Punk is just looking for any sort of ideas into the world title picture. In regards to Backlash, I don't know where that all lands. But, man, those two, Reigns, Punk, 5 juice boxes from yours truly. Just an incredible, incredible main event. Night 2 of WrestleMania just, to me, blew away night 1. And we'll see what happens after this. I mean, Mark Henry said Punk and Roman was the best WWE match since Taker and Shawn at Mania 25 or Mania 26. I'd say since the 25 one, because the 26 one was okay. I think there are some triple threat matches that have been better than what we saw than Roman Punk, but one-on-one, I do think it's probably the best match we've seen in over 15 years. And this was a match I had been saying was the most hyped and important WrestleMania main event since maybe Mania 28, with that first Cena Rock match. I mean, this is a massive match. And they outperformed, I think. I think they absolutely did a lot more than I would have given them credit for doing. And they had one hell of a match. And, we're gonna see that match be replayed and live on in the annals of pro wrestling history for a very, very long time, I think. So, overall, I thought WrestleMania was a fun weekend. And I quite enjoyed every facet of mostly both nights outside of the ads, but it never stops. We got Backlash in about a week and a half. We got Double or Nothing coming up. Memorial Day weekend, I believe, which is, we're almost in May, so about a month away from that particular show. But, WrestleMania is over and in the bag and in the books, but we got to move forward. This is going to be so fascinating as we go through 2026 towards 2027 when you got WrestleMania in Saudi next year. The Rumble's going to be back probably in the States this year, or next year rather. So it's going to be a lot of hype to get that PLE back on domestic soil, and we can get the reactions, I think, of fans that have missed that show here. So I think that's going to be wild. Plus, with WrestleMania in Saudi next year, it's like, who knows what they're, cooking up. Are we going to get The Rock? Are we going to get Austin? There's a lot going on that I think could be in the cards for WrestleMania 43. But, we're only a year out, so we'll see what happens as we progress through 2026. I do want to mention the unfortunate passing of Van Hammer, WCW wrestler. I mean, early 91 throughout 93, 94. Definitely 93 was kind of his last big hurrah. Then he kind of goes away, returns in 98 with the Ravens flock. He's a part of Misfits in Action. But unfortunately, he passed away. We don't know the cause of death yet, but I think he was only 64. I can't recall, but really, I mean, very young to go, and it's really unfortunate. He was, getting help from DDP and was getting his life back on track. He went through a lot of tough stuff of the last couple of years, and it was nice to see him back on the right track, but unfortunately, he is no longer with us, so R.I.P. to Van Hammer. And I did want to mention this insane list of WWE releases from this past Friday, 2 days after they announced that WrestleMania 42 is one of the biggest of all time, highest grossing of all time. Kairi Sane, Aleister Black, Zelina Vega, Uncle Howdy, Nikki Cross, Santos Escobar, the Motor City Machine Guns, Apollo Crews, Eric Rowan, Joe Gacy, Dexter Loomis, Zoe Stark, I think I said Andre Chase, Alba Fire, Tyra May Steele, Serena Linton, Tyson, Tyreek, Chris Island, Malik Blade, Trill London, and Luca Crucifino. Man, it's just very unfortunate that they had so many releases just right after a huge show. It's just, you hate to see it. Yeah. And I know there's arguments of, well, the NBA and NFL, they always cut people. Yeah, but they don't automatically just go and get snatched up by other companies or other teams. Sometimes they don't ever play again. And with wrestling, there's only a few major companies. It's not like 29 other companies are chomping at the bit for a player's services. So hopefully all those guys and girls find work sooner rather than later, or, figure one way around losing their jobs. It's not good for anybody to lose your job. So hopefully those guys and girls can get back on their feet, doing whatever they like to do to get that money back and start moving on. I'm sure a lot of these guys are going to try to, I'm very curious to see where Kairi Sane ends up. I think she could be a great addition to AEW. Not everybody, can just go to AEW or go to TNA. We've seen Aleister Black already over there as Malachi Black, and that kind of only went as far as it could go. So I think that might be kind of the end for him, unless he wants to be Tommy End in TNA, which I wouldn't rule out. But Zelina Vega could be a premier part of the AAA brand over there. But yeah, Kairi Sane was very puzzling, considering she was kind of in the thick of that Io, Asuka, Rhea Ripley story over the last couple of months leading up to WrestleMania. So very curious as to what the next step is for her as well. But that was the week that was WrestleMania 42 in the books. Pretty crazy how that all went. Like I said, this whole week was pretty nuts. We had the NFL draft here in town, playoff hockey also going on, and then you had WrestleMania this past week. Just a lot of chaos. So I do apologize for the late airing and upload of this program, but hopefully you guys found this one particularly entertaining to kind of recap what went on, and we will have a new show next Friday, I do believe, barring any other unforeseen interferences with the juice box. But after that, the following week, we got Backlash predictions, which will be cool. So we'll be back on the train for that, as the train doesn't stop here at the juice box. But like I said, shout out to Main Event Maniacs Brian and Jay for their episode Bundy and Hogan. Bundy versus Hogan, WrestleMania 2, we aired last week. Shout out to Jordan and Andrew from No Dirt, Just Dialogue for having great shows leading up to WrestleMania and after WrestleMania. Shout out to the Wrestle Collective as well. And as always, follow me on Twitter at JuicySteen, at Juicy Wrestling Closet on Instagram, at JuicySteen on YouTube, JuicySteen.podbean.com, Spotify, YouTube, as I said, Amazon Music, and Apple Podcasts, where if you listen to the show, The Juice Box with Juice Springsteen, on Apple Podcasts or on Spotify, please leave a rating and review. That would be on Spotify or iTunes, and it would help the show greatly, and it benefits everything surrounding the Juice Box. So get over there and do it. Only takes a minute or two. But hopefully you guys enjoyed this week. This recap that was. We'll be back to pretty regularly scheduled programming later on in the week, either Friday or Saturday. And then, like I said, we're already towards Backlash predictions the following weekend. So enjoy the rest of your week. I am Juice Springsteen, and I will see you guys next week for another edition of The Juice Box. That was The Juice Box with Juice Springsteen. Make sure to subscribe to The Juice Box wherever you listen to podcasts.